I am Estera Mrówka. I work in a Silk Screen studio. This is Sarah Bosch. As you know, she works with in a robotics studio. And together we realized case study. Uh, we call it Bionics because it was based on the Bionics project of of communication design students. Maybe because we didn't have any words before about our university. Few words about SWPS University, which School of Form is a part of. Okay, so SWPS University School of Form is a part of University of Social Science and Humanities, first private university in Poland. The philosophy of School of Form is rooted in human-centered design, which considers the needs of individuals, communities, and environment. Education is based on humanities as the source of human knowledge, on designing skills, knowledge about various technologies, implementation of projects, and the ability to cooperate with business. School of Form offers a 4-year undergraduate program in design. The educational program is focused on 2 specializations: product design and communication design. And a few words about screen printing. The screen printing studio is a 100-meter space with all the necessary materials and equipment to carry out the entire screen printing process. Several positions are available for students. On site, they cover the screens with photosensitive emulsion, expose the plates on the plate setter, print the graphics, and finally rinse the screens in a special washer. The studio also has a shelf dryer that allows drying many works in a small area. Students can master many manual skills and at the same time learn how to design using the screen printing technique. Thanks to the projects carried out in the studio, students also learn the basics of working with color and improve their sense of composition. Screen printing is used both for printing on paper and fabric, which gives great opportunities for using this technique in a fashion projects. It is an ideal space for experimenting, communing with paint and printing, a place where projects take on a material form. Students master the entire screen printing process. They achieve efficiency in self-preparation of silk of the screen in the field of infusing with emulsion, exposure, printing, mesh delamination. They discover the secrets of multicolor printing. They mix paints on their own to get the optimal color combination. They have a wide range of pigments to choose from which you can get an unlimited range of colors, including fluorescent colors. And now, a few words about the Bionics course. The Bionics screen printing course is held for all design specialization. However, for the communication design specialization, it is implemented in an extended form, where students are obliged to make graphics in the screen printing technique in a larger format, B1. I will show you the art pieces later. The course is based on reflection on the world that surrounds us, over the flora pushed in the people's consciousness to the level of a subordinate being, on her equality. During the classes, students will learn about the latest research, analyzing the natural world. They wonder if only people communicate, join families, and create relationships. They challenge the old hierarchy of the world, manual activities precede a series of lectures and discussions. Students are also required to watch films and books on the subject. All these thoughts are an inspiration to create screen printing graphics. The students construct the message using manual techniques such as drawing, ink painting, paper cutting, and digitally, or mixing these two ways. The college is later transferred to the screen, recognizes to the concept of rasters. It learns to digital design using the potential of the screen printing technique. In practice, it records the entire process of preparing screens and printing their own graphics. The students achieve efficiency in self-preparation of the screen, emulsion coating, and exposure printing, master the basics of working with color, learn the rules of multicolor printing from project preparation to printing, including printing on fabrics. Knowledge of screen printing translates into conscious design, taking into account the limitations and advantages of graphic techniques. Okay, so now we can go to introduction to case study pairing. An inseparable element of fashion design is a graphic pattern that has accompanied widely understood textiles from the very beginning. The case study pairing, Humanities University and School of Form created an opportunity to find a new path of collaborative textile design process. School of Form implemented a project called Bionics. The aim of the task was to use two-dimensional project graphics as inspiration for designing in three-dimensional space, mostly focused on working with a textile mapping. To create outcomes, students use a new tool, Graffiti Sketch software. The results were presented in the shared Frame VR space. A common virtual classroom at the Frame VR was a space for experiencing, inspiring, observing, and comparing the final results. The target group of the School of Form were third-year students of communication design, operating mainly in the area of 2D graphics. For example, in designing visual identifications, illustration, book publication, application, and websites, possibly operating in the field of photography, video, animation, or typography. The level of technological advancement in 3D modeling was beginner. Basic course of the Rhino program in the first year of studies, obligatory for our students, while contact with immersion technology was non-existent or one-off. Aims. The purpose of engaging communication design students in the project was to the potential of immersion technology in the classic design. An attempt to creatively transfer 2D illustrative projects to the 3D world. The possibility of going beyond the existing limit, scale, materials, layouts. Students were given the opportunity to create space in a way that would be difficult for them to access in the real world. At no cost, they could also check how their design worked when applied to fabrics or transferred into jewelry objects. They crossed the barriers of paper and their work received new, unexpected incarnations. An additional advantage undoubtedly was the possibility of cooperation and, as a result, arranging a conceptually related virtual exhibition with Humanities University, several hundred kilometers away. Methodology. The case study was divided into 3 sessions, each taking 3 academic hours, 45 minutes. The first session focused on the introduction to the VR space. Due to the amount of headset, this was structured in a rotational setup with students placed in groups of 4. 2 groups. One of them set up and redesigned graphic projects in Adobe Illustrator software to apply them to the 3D textile model. The second one was introduced to the VR space and created all necessary accounts, MetaQuest, landing pad. Then they rotated. One account on the Sketchfab and FrameVR were registered as well. Sorry. The method of incremental adaptation of students to the new environment was used to minimize, avoid negative experience, feelings of color. The first step for participants was to define the boundaries of their mobility area in the headset. Then they were free to self-exploration, which allowed students to step-by-step test, play, and experiment with the new technology. Most of them watched a short animation, favorite concert, or perfect spot on the earth available in the TV application. This was to familiarize students with the changing metaverse around them. The second session focused on the study of relation between textures and 3D models. First phase of the session was completing an interactive tutorial prepared by the authors of the Graffiti Sketch software. The available tutorial was found to be adequate in terms of advancement, intuitiveness, and functionality. Then basic knowledge of surface properties, especially UV division, was conveyed. A basic model of textile was created together. For testing various textures, our students used the same 3D model. This unification allowed for clear perception of the differences between the map texture. The session ended with the exported final outcomes. Last session focused on importing models into FrameVR and curating an exhibition. It was necessary to use Sketchfab as a bridge between Gravity Sketch and FrameVR. Participants divided tasks and work in groups. Students inspired by the final result of the case study partner, Humanities University, decided to explore immersive technology more. They designed the concept of jewelry based on their textures. One of the important tasks of the lectures was to explain the relation between UV surface, division, and textile mapping. They made clear how the tools work and supported students during other phases of the project.
Okay, and as Sarah mentioned, in our case study, we mostly focus on the textile mapping. And this is just a visualization. What can happen when our texture and object don't match. Yes, it's not good. And it was the most challenging part of our case study. Okay. And here, I try to briefly bring the issue of the directions or divisions and definition about NURB surface, because in the gravity sketch we use this type of surface. So NURB surface are controlled by a set of control points. There's maybe not a great imitation of a grid of control points, but it's a kind of this grid and parameters U and V. U is one direction and V is the second one. And the control points act like magnets, and they move the isocurves because points in one in U and V direction create isocurves. Yeah? Here and here. Isocurves of the surface. The U and V directions are the internal two-dimensional coordinate system of this one special surface. Okay, and the textile mapping depends on a control point grids. So why this is very important for us? When you're modeling a surface in the gravity sketch, you build it step by step. When we have controllers, you build it like rows or columns. Yeah, and it's a little difficult to keep the same gaps between our rows or columns when we try to 3D model this kind of surface. And a speciality is difficult when we try to model a huge textile. The rule is that the greater the difference between distance between our points is, that the more the format the textile we have as well. So this is very important for us. And additionally, there is no possibility to edit the density of this grid. So it's important to keep attention for control points from the very beginning. And with this part of play with textile, of 3D modeling the surface, our students need the most support of me. Yeah, so I tried them to. I took them to 3D model this textile, and then they used only this one model to play with our various
patterns.
Yeah.
Got it? Yeah, so these are our outcomes. So as I said, we base on the paper, all the works we made on the paper, and we try to do it in a creative way. We try to don't transfer one-to-one. We try to play with what we have and to have this creative process as well. So some of them, transferred their works a lot, some less, but what was really interesting that we made projects of jewelry based on the posters. So this was very interesting and brought a lot of fun to students.
Yeah, and it was an additional task. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, but they were like, what was very interesting for me, like my 2D students were very engaged and happy, and they really liked VR, and that what they achieved inspired them to use it more, for sure. And let's maybe see the outcomes in the
VR, but but right now we can show you if you want to, or we can
because we have
after
okay, so after
presentation. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I also have the paperwork we based on. So maybe I don't know, if you prefer to see, or I can show you. And so later on we will see it in VR. Yeah. It's not about this, it will be the next step. Yeah, this connection, that's what we think.
Yeah, but this is not easy. Look at the situation.
We wanted to do it at first, but we faced technical problems, so we decided to use the simpler textiles.
What it's not point is export of our device. When we export it, our labs surface change to lower income and change to mesh surface.
Ale może brać się podjęto udziału w terenu. Są izolatorna na muzeum. Тому що якщо брати вже готову 3D-панель, воно не вийде на моделі, тому що саме бачити в одній стороні тарина, в другій стороні, воно не нагадує.
Yeah, that's what the Sarah showed in the cat example.
Albo że na modelu.
Okay, so undergraduate pattern should be modified. Not for this case here. Maybe we should create for the model.
І ще одна програма, якщо ми працюємо в DevTest, після того форматуємо в Blender, поле пропадає. Знову треба працювати.
Yeah, so yeah, some of the words are like foster. So we use only the earth. And some of them were like after in original, so we use it in general. Okay, we can say it later. We're gonna follow with the presentation. Yeah?
Okay. Exhibition and student experience.
To nie wiem.
Co?
Yeah, so also about student experience, our students were a bit upset after distance learning, so they were also distanced to VR at the beginning. And also their knowledge of VR was almost zero. They have basic knowledge of 3D modeling, as I said. They had an obligatory course in the first year, but it was very basic. More than me, I know. Maybe we can just read it. So we asked them a few questions after the project. I will read it. Do you think that VR, AR technologies can be effectively and usefully used in your learning? If so, how and why? For quickly conceptualizing ideas, create 3D things with the swipe of your hands. A solution to make online design teaching more attractive, allow people to meet, because this lack of meeting, it was the main problem for them. That's what they said during actually remote teaching. So useful online teaching. So useful and effective that we can use VR and AR in our field of communication design. Interesting tool in the context of exhibitions, view from all over the world, allows people from different corners of the world to be in one room and experience together, expand spatial skills, and knowledge can be absorbed faster. Did you feel comfortable the first time you used the headset? And they said they have a blurred image, headache after a long time. So that's why we divided our meetings into 2 hours, 2 hours per 4 probably. For people with poor eyesight, it's hell, one student said. Motion sickness after removing the headache. Headset. Ooh, sorry. So, so did you feel comfortable? 33%. Students' recommendation for using the VR headset, taking breaks. So that we provided after the first longer meeting. Have you had previous experience using Gravity Sketch? What was your impression? 100% said no. It was amazing experience, very intuitive. View from any scale and perspective. A lot of fun. Teleported to the future. Opened my head to new possibilities. Better than the ones I used on the computer. And student reflections. The project went quite smoothly. We had time to get to know the technology and use it in practice, which brought a lot of fun and practical skills. We could easily create an exhibition and use our works in a new context. It was a very valuable experience that opened up new possibilities. The project was a positive experience for me, mainly due to the experience of something new and the group in which I worked. Using the Oculus was difficult due to symptoms such as headache. Quick introduction and intensive work time, but I am satisfied with the effects and the fact that I had a chance to familiarize myself with the equipment and programs. And
The second part.
very interesting experience in general. Yes, so fundings. Session organization eliminated the multiple introductions, maintained a high level of engagement, frequent and intense session. Make groups, avoided feeling like waiting for their turn, set up all necessary user accounts, avoided disruption of the other session. It's my Gravity Sketch.
Yeah, and now findings about the Gravity Sketch. Yeah, so lack of tool for editing surface mapping. I mentioned it a few slides ago, so I don't repeat it. But the next one, lack of a tool for texture modifying. It means that when you upload your texture to the Gravity Sketch library, you cannot edit it. In this case, it means that you can not scale it, rotate it, and therefore students couldn't play with them in the VR. They need to prepare a very precise texture in their computer and then upload a lot of version of their textile textures and then check one by one in the VR, but not play with them in the VR. Per settings of the expert. Okay, how the file is exported defines the further manipulation of the 3D model in the brain VR. And it's a little crazy because the 3D model should always put in the origin of the coordination system in our software, because then we have a nice control of this object. Otherwise, moving and scaling the model in the frame VR is very intuitive because we have origin point here, model here, and when we rotate, we do it like this, not like this. So this is important, and in the gravity sketch, we don't have a command to which snap object to this origin point, unfortunately. Okay. And findings about frame VR. Okay, long time processing the 3D models by Sketchfab. And one recommendation here is to start by uploading all 3D models to the one software. It means to the Sketchfab. Then you have time to process on this 3D model. But when you finish, the first one is ready to upload it, to import it to the frame VR. And the last one, technical issue, replacement of the 3D models. It's time consuming. And you need, okay, you can copy and paste the same parameters of the position of your 3D model, but when you want to change the model, when it's not the same scale of the model, there is no solution. If someone knows how to figure out this problem, please share with me. Yeah. Okay,
and after we realized the project, we organized some kind of testing exhibition in our university. It was open for everyone, but mainly other students came and teachers. And we had some nice recommendation after this event. We set up a screen for sharing a view from a headset, so we knew where
this person is, and we can say, okay, now you can turn right or use your joystick like this. Yeah?
We could navigate the person better. And we also set and mark boundaries for each headset. So the exhibition looked like we set up some kind of station with assistant, and every participant had an assistant and to navigate a person, and it worked really well.
And
support. Technically support. Yeah, so support a person for each headset. Yeah. Yeah, and another minus.
It was a little disappointing because our textures sometimes disappearing, and probably we cannot repair it, we cannot fix it because it depends on the frame VR. Yeah, but we have a solution for it. And this is why each person needs an assistant and support. Because if we have black textiles and other 3D models, we need to refresh our browser and report. But if we have new people on an exhibition who has never used headsets, they don't know how to do it, so it's necessary to have some support for each headset.